Okay, are you there, Future Shock?
Good evening. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm here.
I'm pretty good, and good evening. Yeah,
Yeah, good to hear from you.
yeah. It's been a week. Yeah. How's your week been?
It's been a week. Yeah, my week's been okay, man. It's been quite productive music wise. So, yeah, I've got like an EP I'm finishing basically, which is 4 tracks. So, I've pretty much got it done now. So, that is always a good thing.
Okay, yeah. What about this EP? Yeah, what's it like? What's it about? What's the
So,
name of
it's
it?
kind of
Can you
like,
tell us the name of a track, or is it still top secret?
I mean, 2 of the tracks are still called May 9 and like
Oh,
May,
nice.
May
Yeah,
2 and
I know.
things
My
like
my
that.
mate, my mate John's band. A lot of his songs are called "Cunt 19," "Cunt 20," "Cunt 21."
Yeah, I
But
get
yeah,
that. I get why that would be the case for sure. I mean, yeah, I'm never very good with names to be honest with you these days. I kind of like I've released 96 tracks now, drum and bass tracks, and
"96
obviously
Tears."
I've worked on shitloads more, and you just
96
kind of start
tracks.
to run out of name ideas, man. To be honest with you, like you started to run out a bit. But my tracks are kind of like I sampled the Lawnmower Man in one of them.
96 tracks is a good name for a track because there's that old R&B song 96 Tears that the Stranglers covered.
And the vibe of it could be like an old school vibe, like 90s.
Call it 96 tracks. That's awesome. Yeah.
In fact, I'm lying. I'm on 99 at the moment. Sorry, I'm lying. I'm one away from 100 now.
Well, that's the Flake. You got to call that track the Flake.
That's a good point. What the hell am I going to call my 100th? I've got to think about one. Yeah, it's got to be a good one. So we're flying away. I thought that this video might be the perspective one where it kind of like shows them like so. Yeah, because the Stevenson star is just the biggest one that we can see in our galaxy, isn't it? I think, or is that not? I don't know actually where that thing is. But either way, it's like a million times the size of the sun, isn't it? Quite literally, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so that about space and the relative size of the universe. Did you ever hear of something called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So do you remember the total perspective vortex?
So I never actually read. I know of it. So this is the weird thing. I never actually read the book or seen the movie. So I'm not able to talk.
I think they even redid it in the radio season. I can't remember which book it's from. If it's from like the third book, like is it from a restaurant at the end of the universe? Because like most people, like a lot of what people don't realize is that the TV serialization of it only went to the end of the Hitchhiker's Guide, and it didn't do the other books. I think or bits. So there's a lot of stuff that's just really weird. But yeah, that's a good bit though. The total perspective vortex, because I think Xavier Beetlebrooks he stole the heart of gold, so they sentenced him to the ultimate punishment, which was to see how tiny you were in the universe. You know.
Oh, total. What was it called then? Sorry, total perspective.
Total perspective vortex to see precisely how small and insignificant a part you play. But I mean, I'm not one to believe in that because I've meditated and I've had the universe inside me, right? So I mean, like the whole thing about spatial reality, our universe, our mind, and our four-dimensional consciousness is infinite, right? Be the same thing, unless they're all reading the same music sheet. I don't know, but they always say that there's impression that they all want to come back and that they've been squeezed into this body, you know, that it's something really limiting and infinitely small, and that they're from a realm that's much bigger, you know.
They do say that a lot, don't they? That I literally saw one just a few days ago. I can't remember in what context, probably on X, something like this. And the guy was saying, "Oh no, it was that." There's a famous actor this happened to recently, isn't there? Fuck, I can't remember his name, but anyway, I saw a clip of him and he's saying exactly the same thing. That he didn't want to.
Oh, really? Wow.
I can't think who it was. This guy, I think he's more like America famous, but I recognized him. But anyway, he'd had a near-death experience. I can't remember what I think it was on Joe Rogan actually was talking to him. That wasn't the clip I saw. It was a different clip, but I think he's been on Rogan recently. He just said what you hear most people say really in terms of near-death experience.
Okay, so is that video nearly finished? That's kind of, it's just at that point now, it's just like the Doctor Who 80s credits and intro intro graphics because it's like you don't understand where you are anymore if you can see the screen. I mean, it's like, where am I now? But
the thing, sorry, just bear with me 1 sec. Sorry, I'll just be back in 1 minute. Sorry.
All right. Well, in Future Shock's absence, I'm gonna talk about a little bit, and I'm gonna play a song actually. One of Future Shock's tunes, and I think in a few weeks ago we talked about how the ancient Egyptians had a sort of synergy and between religion and science, and that the priests of one discipline, such as medicine, were often the priests of scientific. The priests of science were also doctors. Yeah, I think that sentence needs unscrambling. So the priests of Sekhmet were actually doctors, and there was like a whole process that imagine a society sort of based where you actually literally believed that, the spirit world was real. And I think the danger of that is probably something like what happened in ancient Egypt, is that you get a priesthood who can exploit that fact, and they can make things happen and make you think it's God doing it. So, for instance, Sekhmet was a female lion goddess. She was sort of equated with archetypical female goddesses and the forces of the cosmos.
Sorry about that.
And she was like the goddess of war, and she was said to be irrational, and she could only placate it by brewing a special red beer, which the priests presumably would pour in. Well, they poured it into the River Nile, and the simple people seeing this, whether they were in on it or not, it's like this bit of that like sort of Father Christmas thing, isn't it? It's like that sort of your parents are a priesthood guarding a secret of Santa Claus, But it seems for the ancient Egyptians, a lot of their culture was like this. So they brewed this special beer, which was like red with blood, and they would pour it into the Nile, and then the people saw this red blood beer. Who knew what they knew? But it was part of the ritual. It was part of some kind of taming of the forces of nature. And I suppose if the priesthood could make the people believe it was real, then it would be real. It would give power and strength to it. So Hether and Nut were the cow goddesses, and they evoked the female cows of the marshes of northern Egypt. And of course, for a Neolithic people, which they were, said to probably have lived in the area and developed sort of without influence from any other civilization, because there's a time when the Sahara was actually a green and verdant.
A few thousand years ago, wasn't it? Yeah,
exactly. It was relatively recent. I think it was only some 10,000 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, not that long ago, actually, in the grand scheme.
In recent grand scheme of things, exactly. So these archetypal gods. That's why their gods were specifically animals. You know what I mean? Because they actually dealt with these animals. And imagine like a people who were learning to defend themselves against animals, because that's what humanity was doing there, developing more and more effective ways of controlling their environment. And of course, the Babylonian and the story of Nimrod in the Bible as well. He was a great hunter, and that was his renown. He cleared the area of wild animals. So Nut for the Egyptians was a cow goddess, and it evokes the power of the female cows of the marshes of northern Egypt. So it's like it's something. It's, for me, this proves that the ancient Egyptian Parthenon is something that grew from the ground of Egypt. When it was a green and verdant place. And the thing is, Nut was the goddess of the night sky, and it's sort of seen as an inherently female, nurturing womb of darkness in which our planets and our the stars are sort of nurtured within this goddess.
The mistress of the heavens.
Well, that's why the word night is feminine in so many languages, like Germanic, Gaelic, Urdu, Hindu, and Slavic, and all the Romance languages. It's a feminine word because night is seen as a feminine principle. It's very interesting. We don't have that idea in our own language, English. What the fuck, English? But
English. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it kind of
obviously
makes sense.
English. So night wasn't seen as we see night as an absence of sunlight, but as a medium in itself. So night was a thing, was a continuum. Do you know what I mean?
But do you think also that could be like they had such, I don't know whether it would be that much, but they had such obviously they didn't have light pollution back then, so they had much more wall-to-wall star coverage providing light for them. So I wonder if
that's a good point. Yeah, that's
obviously it would still be like night. It's not going to completely light up the sky like the sun does, but I wonder if they had.
Yeah, but those stars specifically, one imagines within their pantheon was like those stars were gods within the womb of night. They were like almost like seeds planted in the soil of Nut. Do you know what I mean? Or Nut, or I feel the Nut can't be quite right. Correct way of pronouncing that word. I think Nut would sound more. I mean, what do we have? We have night, right? We have nuit. We have Nacht. So they're all sort of variations. This is where the word night comes from. It's like it comes from this ancient Egyptian goddess Nut.
Newt. Apparently, it's Newt.
Newt. That sounds better. That's Newt.
According to ancient Egyptian mythology.
Oh, thanks for the check. No, Newt sounds much more dignified than Nut, right?
It's still a Newt though, but it's an improvement. It's definitely an
improvement. Newt makes you think of nuit and night, and it sort of seems to join those words to fit, doesn't it? Yeah. So, see, what I think is that they didn't see, as we see night, as a sort of absence. At least, recent science saw night as the absence of light, but it's a medium in itself. So it's the idea of the ether. And so there's
to some degree you could say that that's kind of the default in a way. It's like you're actually quite fortunate to have to be close to a star that can give you light, sort of thing. It's like it's kind of almost it's the opposite way around, where night should be kind of like the standard and not the day, if that makes sense. Because that's
the night should be the standard.
The night could be just that. Look, I'm working my way through, this train of thought here. But yeah, it could be. Why is like the daytime? Why is the sun dripped daytime taken as like it's seen as the sort of superior one, or the
light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth not.
But, do you know what I mean? Like
kind of like Bible, bro.
Night's almost got that kind of unnatural feel, or it shouldn't really be like it's got a sort of unnatural feel to it. Whereas the daytime is just apparently the properly natural time, sort of thing.
I don't know. It depends on your perspective.
I guess it'd have some bad effects
if you're
all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on a planet, if you're on the sort of dwarf planet Pluto, you're not going to get much so-called daytime, are you? It's like it's going to be like night, kind of. Going to be used to that, aren't you?
What was this thing I was seeing around? Did you see this thing about like Pluto? I'd never clicked on any of the links. I thought it was bollocks, but like Pluto, quote unquote, crashes into Neptune. What was all that stuff about? I saw that.
No idea, mate. I think you've got a virus. I literally think someone's
not me who's got the virus. It's the frigging people on all the weirdos on the internet, isn't it?
I literally haven't heard that story. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. Yeah. No, the Pluto crashing into Jupiter. I don't know.
Into Neptune.
Don't think it's happened, but I'm not sure.
I think they're trying to say something. I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. I never clicked on it because obviously I thought it was bollocks anyway. But I just wondered if it was something you'd seen. Never mind.
Anyway, so like modern science is thinking that the vacuum of space is actually a thing called a 0-point field, and you know what I mean. So space isn't just space; it's actually it's like exploding and appearing pairs of matter and antimatter pairs. And this is like, you could form a hypothesis almost about the nature of God being energy, like, so the 0 point energy of space, the newt, right? That, in a sense, could be, that is God. If God is electromagnetic energy and all of it sort of, I'm not saying we should worship the ancient Egyptian pantheon, but it's interesting that they, whether by coincidence, whether by sheer dumb luck, they just, obviously the night was a big deal to the ancient Egyptians, but whether they realized that actually by saying that it's something that has an actual a reality and space isn't just an absence, then it's like they identified, I suppose it's like primitive science, they're identifying key forces in the universe and they're sort of naming them as gods. But for the ancient Egyptians, this 0 point field was visualized as not only it was a protecting, all-encompassing mother in whom one could take refuge, apparently by ascending a special ladder, which kind of seems quite an unlikely way to see a god climbing a ladder. I mean, something most commonly associated with window cleaners and such, and odd job men.
You'd think there would be an alternative option.
Spiral staircase, I would have expected. A little more dignified. Yeah. On that note, Future Shock, we do have a song of yours called The Ladder, which you had no privy awareness of my little bit with the ladder and the goddess Nuit.
Yeah, this is just a grinding. This is just a little twist of fate that we didn't expect, isn't it?
There you go, man. Okay,
yeah, this is a tune from about. It's out on Inner Rhythm Records, and this is from about 2018, so a few years ago. But yeah, so it was kind of a tune that I made it just like, I wanted it to be like quite atmospheric and meditative, but whilst also having that kind of like upbeat drum and bass feel to it. So I think it did pretty well. Like, I think it got into the top. I think he got into top 30 of drum and bass tunes at the time, so I think it did all right. Yeah, it was backed with another track whose name I can't remember, but anyway, yeah, Inner Rhythm Records. So yeah, are you playing that now? What are you going to do then?
I am, but before I do so, I'm going to ask you what every gentleman should ask another gentleman before he's about to play one of their songs, and ask you, how long is it?
6 minutes 26.
Okay, so for the next 6 minutes, we're gonna listen to this then. Okay, guys. So cool. Okay, let's try and make this a smooth transition, which I've already failed to do.
Even a bad trip, and believe me, I've had my share, do not compare to the fury of the ladder. A fast trip straight down the ladder. Straight down the ladder. straight down the ladder. Fast trip straight down the ladder. Straight down the ladder.
Okay, we're back. Okay, hello. Are you there, Future Shock?
Yo, I'm good. Yes, I'm here.
You're right, bro. I'm gonna take a bow, right? You know, applause.
Do you know the annoying thing is?
Clap. Yep.
Do you know the annoying thing is? I want to do a modern version of it, just like do a remix of it, like bring it a bit up to date and stuff. And I can't find the folder, man. I think I've deleted the folder with the track and all the projects and stuff. It's annoying. But anyway, not to worry.
Yeah, because they take too much friggin' bloody drive space, man. When you're editing and making music, it's like gigabytes. It's so annoying, isn't it? It's so
yeah.
just to delete it. Yeah,
It's an insane amount. Like,
I know.
I've actually just got a new laptop with, finally, after many years, actually some decent space. But for many years, this was a massive issue. Yeah, the amount of space that audio stuff takes up is just nuts, man.
So yeah, man. When was that? When was that song? When was that song? I sound like my mum. When was that song? It's a track. It's a track, innit? We're cool. It's a track. When was that track put down, bro?
I think it was about 2018 it came out. I can't remember exactly. It's a few years ago now.
Has drum and bass technology changed a lot?
Oh, massively. Yeah. I mean, like, my stuff, I'll put, next time I'll play a more modern track of mine so you can hear like the more modern production. Because I've played you so far a tune from 2015.
That was timeless. That was timeless, sir.
That was a cool. No, to be fair,
timeless sound.
If not my most, I think it's my most played tune of mine when I did.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Good. Yeah.
It just works really well in like the mix and stuff.
So yeah, I brought this thing up because James Webb Telescope, quite interestingly, in April, he's old James Webb. He's been looking. He's been I think he's related to Jack Hole, the two because of course
Hole related to Rod Hull.
I think there's an accent. There's a vowel shift there. I think your great vowel shift is taking place there. Rod Hull. I remember Rod Hull actually.
Oh yeah, I mean, how could you forget Rod Hull? Come on, yeah. No,
he was quite a menace. He was quite a menace, yeah. So this thing here, this old James Webb, he's looking at he's got his telescope out and he's looking at the universe now, and he reckons that the universe is like older than itself. You know, it's like it's too there's too much weird stuff in the universe, and the more you look, the weirder it gets. You know, that's my scientific appraisal of the situation.
I was going to say it's not a massive surprise to people, surely, because it's like we hardly know anything. Like we kind of have to accept we hardly know anything. So new theories and new ideas and new discoveries are always going to be coming along pretty frequently. So, you know, it's going to be many years before you understand really what's going on properly.
I'm not one to defer to science or scientists or anything, but I'm just going to play this for 2 minutes just because he saves me the time of writing it down and me saying it. So, yeah, basically, James Webb Telescope has been looking into the distant universe and has found, which Felicity will just point it out, that there are galaxies that are much older than they should be, or younger than they are, or something weird. So I'll just bang this on for a second.
All these discoveries made by the James Webb Space Telescope have completely shaken up our understanding of the universe. Until recently, scientists believed the early universe was a quiet, dark place with no galaxies for hundreds of millions of years after the Big Bang. But Webb has turned that idea on its head by spotting galaxies that existed just a few 100 million years after the universe began, even during a time once called the Cosmic Dark Ages. Even more surprising, some of these galaxies look just like our Milky Way with spiral arms and fully developed structures. On top of that, Webb Telescope's discovery, which suggests that the expansion of the universe is non-uniform, raises a scary possibility. What if the universe doesn't even have a single age? What if it's older in some places and younger in others? That would mean our basic idea of how the universe began could be completely wrong. These findings have led scientists to consider bold new theories. Some, like Nobel laureate Roger Penrose, suggest our universe might have come from a previous one. Others think there could be a mirror universe that existed before the Big Bang. Some even say the universe might not have had a beginning at all. It could have always existed. There are also ideas that the expansion of the universe might just be an illusion, and that mysterious things like dark matter and dark...
Okay, so, yeah, are you still there, Future Shock?
I am still here, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, potential like things like what the heck's going on, and a lot of nonsense potentially, like our universe was given birth to another. I mean, what did you think about that?
Well, the way I've always kind of seen it is, I think that isn't it just for me? It seems the fundamental is space itself. Space is where you kind of put universes. So, however these universes emerge, however they manifest, if they are put there or something more quote unquote natural, whatever natural would actually mean at that point, then that I think that seems to make the most sense to me, because you have to put them somewhere. So this idea of like, I think a game changer for me was realizing that space was not in the universe, that the universe was in space, although that's how I kind of like view it anyway.
So I think space is an incursion into reality or something. It's like an incursion. It's like a quantum.
I wouldn't know how else to describe it other than like, if you're going to have a bunch of universes, you need to put them somewhere. So there needs to be that thing, whatever it is made of as such, whatever the kind of energy.
Yeah. I know. That's it. That's the Casimir effect. That's the antimatter matter pairs, and that's the nut. That's the Newt. That's the embodiment of Newt. That's her body. Is that space? Interesting, isn't it?
That beautiful Newt body.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lady of the night. The ultimate lady of the night, Are we all resting on her lap or on her breast, whatever you prefer?
Swaying like a pair of galleons in a tempest.
Well, okay. You're sort of anthropomorphizing a little goddess a little bit too much. You'll be starting a cult next.
Well, it depends on the goddess, I suppose, isn't it? Really, yeah. But there we go.
Yeah. So that idea, though, that fundamentally the James Webb Telescope has told us that it's questioned our ideas of evolution, because we're slaves to evolution as a concept, aren't we? We in this culture, we think we're getting better. We've been told, haven't we, that I mean, you may believe it. I mean, I believe the opposite. I think we're getting worse, honestly do. But evolution tells us that humanity is progressing, to some ideal utopia where we'll finally be free of religion and stuff like that, and scientific, and we're transhumanist, android beings with all sorts of hatches and slots we can put things in for sexual stimulation. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think they're doing. I think it's an abomination, don't you?
Well, I think it's basically, if you're looking at it from the perspective of like keeping humans human, then yeah, we are going backwards, because we are.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how you want to view that. What we are becoming, whether it's
exactly, or where we're going culturally, or that's kind of idea of, you know what I mean?
Because I can get the perspective that, okay, yeah, if you have a chip in your brain, then you could like just download languages, you could learn things very quickly, and everyone could become super intelligent. I do get that, but then what happens after that, and like that's the road that we're going down, and it's whether you view that as a positive thing going forward, or to some degree regressive, like regardless of the optimizing intelligence or whatever and capability. Do you see that move into a more technological sort of like marriage with humans as like a
well, I've never needed a chip in my brain.
Unorganic.
I've never. I mean, there are times when I've wanted to download languages fast, but then what point do we? Then we're no longer human. We're just AI. We become the data. We just become the data trawling, and then we no longer have any. If we could download a language in 5 minutes or whatever it takes in this system, then how much of us is left? We can just be connected to the cloud and get our personalities from there.
Or does that create like a new type of like? Is that do you use that to cultivate your personality?
Yeah, and what if you chose not to, and you have these different types of humanity, people who are sort of semi-Borg and are connected to Google Cloud permanently. So so they start telling you adverts in the middle of a conversation with them.
It wouldn't surprise me, but you're right. You're going to get like a sort of like a new set of different classes when we get to that sort of point.
Yeah,
it will create kind of like, and then it will just be dependent on what the actual humans, how far they want to go with it. Like you say, some will be walking around half cyborg, some not, some more than others, and so you just create a whole new sort of like system of classes in society.
Yeah, the annoying thing is though, the most intelligent and erudite will be those who have got the, connected to Google Premium or whatever. They'll get all the jobs because they'll have the answers, because they'll know in the job interview what questions are going to be asked, because they'll be connected to the same cloud that the job interviewer is asking the questions from. So it'll be like a little club. It'll be like a. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is what I mean.
That's the problem. That's my fundamental problem with sticking chips in people. They're gonna lose their personality. Why else would they have a chip in them? Listen, the only time I would think an exception is people who are like paralyzed or such as that, where I think Elon Musk recently demonstrated.
Neuralink's.
Neuralink's doing that, isn't it? So I mean, that's the one exception where this kind of stuff is quite interesting, and probably don't have too much objection with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if they can achieve
largely humanitarian, right? So
it's not even just with disabilities, is it? They're just talking about sorry, one sec. Yeah, they're talking about other things, kind of like blindness and deafness and stuff like this. So other neurological things, neurologically related things. So yeah, it looks really. You just extrapolate out what they're going to be able to do in the next sort of 10 to 20 years or so. It's kind of crazy to think, really.
Yeah, but it's likely like all technology. I mean, look at the TV, right? John Logie Bird. I think he initially developed the TV as a way to contact spirits, and he believed he was in
this story. Yeah.
So, so his initial plan for that was to. I think he believed he was in contact with.
Well, the actual sort of snowflake stuff is static from the universe, isn't it?
Oh no, that is spirits. So that is that's proved.
Oh, is that the spirits? Is it?
Well, they're the demons. Yeah, the black. Well, it's black and white, so it's the demons and the angels fighting forever. You see, in that static.
They were the ones running teletext, weren't they? I think.
Who's that?
They were the ones running teletext. You remember teletext?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I'm an 80s lad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Those were the days. That was your internet, basically.
Those were the days of waiting 10 minutes to see what was on TV, on kids' TV, and you had to plow through all the other stuff. We had a lot of free time in the 80s. It makes you realise, do you know how much time we spent waiting for teletext to get to scroll through 100 pages till we got to. We used to do that really slowly. Do you remember when you were a kid and you wanted to know what was on TV and you just had to sit and look at teletext while it scrolled through the whole day, and then it get back to the morning or whatever. You got your kids' TV shows.
Oh yeah, I seem to remember it was Motormouth, Ghost Train.
I
think those are the main ones I remember.
I remember Swap Shop and all that stuff. Noel Edmonds and. Oh, I vaguely remember Tiswas. Yeah, Tiswas was big when I was a kid. Tiswas was cool.
I think that's I don't remember Tiswas. I think it was slightly before me. It's just a little bit before.
John Logie Bird believed he was advised by Thomas Edison from beyond his grave. That's quite weird, isn't it? Yeah.
What to try and contact what through the TV? Is he saying? Hang on, what is that? How?
No. Actually, no. So no. I don't. Who knows? But I don't think that's the case. But delegates at the Scottish UFO Paranormal Conference will be told, and I believe this is a fact. Actually, I've done enough research, and it does indicate he was a spiritualist. But he was getting spiritual messages. I'm reading from an article here, a news article on the Express. But I found the same research myself. Retired assistant registrar at Stirling University develops an interest in the spirit world. Christine Bain, his Aberdeen grandmother. John Logie Bird invented the television used to attend spiritualist meetings and believed he was getting messages from the spirit of Thomas Edison. So I think that was common knowledge among the people who were within the spiritualist movement, potentially.
And he's an electrical engineer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I've always said that. The ancients always, in old days, science and spirituality was combined. And I think we mentioned this before, like we got and Jack Parsons and all that. It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Those greatest pioneers always seem to have a spiritual component, even Nikola Tesla.
I was just literally about to say Tesla, wasn't he?
Yeah. So it's pretty far out, man. So what if the next time the static? We don't see static anymore, but what if static was what is a view of the demon realm? You know?
Yeah, people under a certain age won't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So like for static and TVs and stuff. But yeah, sometimes there just wasn't. Sometimes channels just didn't work, and
sometimes just TV just stopped, and you had to go and do something useful with your life. Do you remember that? The afternoon, there was like you won't remember this, but there was closed down in the afternoon. There was no TV. It was like, workers go to work. They didn't believe there was no such thing. This was Thatcher's Britain, but there were plenty of people unemployed, but they weren't watching TV. They were hopefully on their bike, like Norman Tebbit told them to do, but yeah.
I was trying to think, even not that far back, I was trying to think back to, say, when I was about 25, 26. So we're, a fair few years ago, over a decade ago. But even back to just then, it wasn't even like I was even that, just bear with me 1 sec, sorry. I think it's like there's someone at the window. Just bear with me 1 sec, sorry, I'll be right back.
He's a ghost, mate. The aliens are going to take you. It'd be so cool if we never, well, it wouldn't be cool. But if we never heard from Future Shock again, that's the last time we ever heard from him. There was just something knocking at his window, and that's it. Gone forever. This will be a police record. This will be of interest to the police, this broadcast, since we never heard from Future Shock again. Well, since he's disappeared forever, I'm just going to play one of my mate John's songs. His band is called Sandwich Pan, and where is it? I hope you enjoy it.
Satisfied with the Japanese shit, bring grinding in the song. So if you were dead, the death of look is almost left the empty shelves and clothes and shops. Asking for a war, left a barrel of a gun, cause the junkies on the Tesla the potential investors to tail and run. One thing I could say is I remember a day when I said a Michael Callahan will count his his piece and blow his box away.
That was so smooth. I got to ask him to sort that. I need a fade out for that. Oh my god. Are you still with us, Future Shock?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's the joys of living in a downstairs flat. You hear random noises out there, but it's fine anyway. It's cool.
Well, no. I mean, thank goodness you're still with us, because I feared the worst. There was a noise at the window. We were talking about paranormal things, and the next minute, he disappears forever.
Well, this is the thing. I'm doing this with my headphones on as well, so I can't tell how loud I'm talking. Anybody could be just outside listening, innit? So I've just got to be careful.
You can't. You can't hear if someone's creeping up on you or aliens are trying to probe you.
Damn! As if my paranoia wasn't bad enough as it is. Now you've made me. Yeah, now you've made it even worse. Crazy! I could just get jumped at any moment.
They're long telescopic tender probes after you, Rob. Watch out! It's a terrible thing, man. So
I've heard.
I know. So have I. I don't know if it's true though. What do you think? You're kind of the aliens guy.
I think if it happens, it's definitely not a good thing. But what in terms of
it might be. I mean, don't be so judgmental of some people. Anyway, never mind. It's different strokes, different folks, isn't it?
That's one of the things I never looked into too much. Those sort of abductions and stuff. I don't
Maybe some people really into that. Want to just go out looking for that. It's like the ultimate. Probe.
The whole setting would be
probe me like no other would probe me. Do you know what I mean?
Look, there will be people out there who have like some random
fetish,
very specific fetish of being probed by aliens. They'll be out there.
People are a mess, man. It's a disaster. It really is, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna see if that exists. I might be have.
Oh no, don't. You'll need an eye bath.
I'm just curious. I'm just like humans. They must have done it. Like humans, there must have been some humans who've done it before. Fetish for being abducted by aliens. Let's see if this exists. Let's pray that it doesn't exist. Oh, there are actually people. Okay, they fantasize about it for. Is it exophilia?
Okay. Oh wow! Oh god, no! There's even a Greek word for it. Oh god!
Passion or sexual
attraction. I mean, science. That means it's science now. It's official. It's science. It's exophilia. That'd be a cool name for an album or something. I'm surprised no one's done that. Exophilia.
That is quite an interesting.
Listen, you could do a track called Exophilia, or would that be pandering and buying into the fetish? Would you be supporting it?
No, I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'd make it sound. But,
actually, I've got some ideas. I'd suggest this to John. Actually, that's quite good.
Exophilia.
That's a good name, man. That's a good ultimate sort of.
This is it. I even said it. Look, I even said it half in jest, and I typed it in kind of jest.
Yeah,
it exists, but it's not a surprise. Not a surprise.
It's not. Yeah, not these. Not
what I was going to say,
probably part of the rainbow by now, right? Surely aliens' sex is up there somewhere.
They just put another A
in the alphabet. Let's put another.
Or E and T.
Just put some kind of.
So LGBTQ ET.
ET, nice. He's very good. Nice one.
ET onto the end of it. You're going to need a bigger flag for all those. I mean, like we've got pretty much all the letters of the alphabet on there anyway.
Well, you've just created another one. We've just created another one. We've just added to. Imagine if with ET, like give people ideas. It
is funny to just
power of media, man.
Just go back to what we were saying before I just dashed for a sec. It just like around those times, like the 90s and the mid 90s, like sometimes you think, what was I actually doing? Like sometimes you can't remember exactly what you were doing because people are so used to now being on their phones, being on their laptops all the time. But back in like the 90s, obviously we didn't have it like we have it now. So it's like you sort of think back and you think like, yeah, what did we actually do with our days? Do you know what I mean? Like you sort of forget, you kind of forget, and then you realize that, well, you go out the house more, you'd be going out meeting people more, that's what you were doing. It's just kind of like slip your mind because you're so out of habit, or at least that habit has lessened these days. If
I can tell you exactly what people did at home before the internet. They watched Abbott and Costello movies because that was all that was ever on BBC Two or Channel 4. I think. It was always. You remember those black and white matinees, and they were just always Abbott and Costello or something, all day long.
What I remember about it was seeing it in the TV guide, seeing under the Elvis and Costello movie in the TV guide. Thinking, they're just always on. Like
black and white movies, man. Are like I've come from a time where you watch black and white movies unironically. You just had because you only had a black and white movie on BBC Two or Channel 4. It's just their cheap filler. Because there was a lot of just movies played, wasn't there? Like old movies back in the day on TV. Do you remember those days?
Yeah. Lunchtimes on a Sunday, afternoon on a Sunday, shit like that.
I think there were better days. I think that was cool actually, just to sit, really relax,
But it's something about, don't you think as well, is that kind of catch-22 of having choice? Like, because on the surface of it, having so much, you have way more choice now of what to do if you want to chill on a Sunday afternoon, say. But then sometimes that kind of makes it worse in a way. I don't know if you get what I mean. Like, you enjoy, you learn to appreciate it when you don't have so many options, kind of thing. And I think you kind of like get more out of it in a way, potentially. But it's just
Can I tell you something that back in the day, but before Wi-Fi and before mobile phones, right? It's like there used to be more corners in life. There were more dark corners, and those corners were full of the unknown. And now it seems that everything is just apparently being perpetually reported 24 hours a day. There's like no mystery anymore. I don't know. It seems weird to me, but like nighttime back then used to be night. Like no one was doing anything. You just go to sleep. There's no television. Go to sleep. What's wrong with you? Are you psychotic? There was nothing to keep people up. There was nothing to do except read a book, right? By a bulb light or something. But there was no entertainment for you. Everything had gone to bed. Goodbye, and it was wonderful. You used to have the Close Down on BBC, and they used to play the swirling, majestic tones of the national anthem and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I remember things like remember just classic 90s things for me, like World in Union rugby theme and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was another BBC's. I think that was a BBC staple. Anyway, but yeah, this is it. You had 4 channels. Like when Channel 5 came along. I mean, obviously, even before then, you didn't have even 4, did you? When did Channel 4 start? Did Channel 4 start sort of late 70s?
1987 or something. I mean, I'll just have to double check. I remember Channel 4 starting, though. I remember it starting. Yeah.
82, 2nd November. 82.
No way. Was it that long ago? 82? That's insane. I actually remember that.
Yeah, I actually thought it was late 70s, but I was not too.
They used to have Red Triangle movies, and they used to and once I stayed up all night trying to watch this movie called Homework, a French movie on a black and white TV set that my nana had given me, and you had to tune it in like a dial, like a radio, and then you'd have to fight through the hordes of angels and demons fighting, which is what we call static, and then you'd make out discern a vague picture, and it's supposed to be a French rude movie, and you're looking for that vital pubic hair and all them bits and bobs. And you'll sit there for 45 minutes and nothing happens, and there's nothing rude. And then you go to bed and you think, oh, well, that was nothing. And then your mate at school the next day tells you, oh, you have to watch the rest of it. It's all they start banging, all the clothes come off. Oh my God. And I don't know. I just missed out on that old red triangle phenomenon of the Channel 4 of the 80s. But they reckon they used to have rude movies playing at night with rude things, but I never saw it,
Oh, you mean they put on the erotic thrillers? Like
I could never stay up long enough,
11:05.
And my mum would shout at me to go to bed and turn off the Channel 4. Yeah, they're supposedly I don't know how erotic, but they're French, so.
And we still had a black and white. I just remember we had a black and white TV up until I was about 8 or 9.
Yeah, black and white.
I was in the kitchen. We had like a main TV in the lounge. We had one in the kitchen that was black and white, and so my sort of mealtime TV was black and white.
Our black and white TV was in the kitchen, and then it somehow either got promoted or demoted, depending on the television's point of view. I don't know how he felt about it, but going to my bedroom, I think that was his. And then he put in after that. He went to the scrap heap. Probably that was his last. That was it. It was like Toy Story. It was like I saved him from the scrap heap. But yeah, the old black and white TV in the kitchen. Yeah, those days.
It's
man.
mad to think how crazily clunky everything was. It's like if I think back to the TV I had when I was like a teenager and just sort of like before I came down to London and uni and everything, man, that thing was gigantic. And it's just crazy. Just
you did. Don't tell me you brought your TV to your Holzer residence.
No, I didn't bring a TV down.
All right, okay. I thought you brought a TV or something.
No, I was just remembering back to when I used to actually that's what I used to do on a Friday night, would just be like stay and watch TV, basically watch Channel 4. And
well, that was it. When I went to university, it was like the first time I'd not
BBC
watched TV. And I think I felt the same as you. It was like, oh my God, Red Dwarf, Star Trek. Oh, I'm not watching them. I'm at the pub with a girl. Oh my God. It's like, is this better? I still miss Star Trek. Oh, conflict, turmoil.
And then eventually you come back around full circle. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that wasn't even that long ago, and it's just like a lot has changed since then. So yeah, man. What was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say.
I don't know. I was going to say Idiot of the Week. I've got this.
Oh, have you got one? Because I don't have
Yeah,
one.
I mean, we call it Idiot Land, but it's just Dickhead of the Week. And that's Benjamin Netanyahu. Because he's amazingly managed to piss off Donald Trump. And apparently, because Donald Trump's pissed off, now the UK Parliament are pissed off, which is cool. I'm just going to play this clip of the UK Parliament actually, for some reason, making a point about what's going on in Gaza, which I can't quite believe. Although I know that it's a half-empty Parliament. But I'm just going to share that.
Share always, isn't it?
It is when they're talking about things like genocide and such.
That's what I mean. In these situations, they're always bloody half empty.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, it's actually quite. It seems to be a change. Did you see Keir Starmer and Macron and Meltz or something? The German, the little bit of shall we say nose candy paraphernalia?
I was going to say you had the little bag on the table.
You saw that, did you? Gosh,
Yeah.
that is extraordinary. Oh gosh. Well, how are they going to worm out that? They'll just be ignored. I mean, it must be with the tacit knowledge of the secret security establishment that they're all up to code. They're all full of coke. It's disgraceful, right?
Yeah, and they kind of justify it by saying that, oh, well, if it all got out, it would be worse for security. So you've got to sort of keep it under wraps. So, yeah.
Nasty bunch. They all are, aren't they? They're rotten. Anyway, on a more positive note, I'm going to just play this where it seems that some people have somewhat had enough of Israel, Trump, and apparently UK Parliament, and maybe the government potentially for the moment at least. So let's see.
You were being nice when you said half empty.
Up to now, the excuse has been that we've got to wait until negotiations are complete. There are no negotiations. All that we have is extremist settlers trying to force out Palestinian
Can we hear
people
that?
from their villages in the West Bank, which I've seen with my own eyes. In the name of God, why can't we give the Palestinian people some hope?
And so maybe he can be the one who surprises me, gets to his feet and says that the plan as laid out by Benjamin Netanyahu is tantamount to ethnic cleansing. Will he do that, yes or no?
We now learn from a government minister, an Israeli government minister, that Gaza is to be entirely destroyed. And we're watching the live streaming starvation of an entire people. Now, the minister talks about his anguish, and I know it's genuine, but can he not see what the majority of the House can see, that he's facing a catastrophic failure of government policy?
In the past year, 100,000 tons of bombs have been dropped on Gaza, the equivalent of 5 times of the power of the nuclear weapons used over Hiroshima and Nagasaki 80 years ago. That's resulted in the death of at least 60,000 people. And on top of that, we're now going to have the complete invasion of Gaza by Israel. At what point will the government actually cease all arms supplies and military cooperation with Israel, cease the use of RAF Akrotiri, and above all, stop the export of any parts for F-35 jets, which have been complicit in the killing of 60,000 people in Gaza?
Statement.
So yeah, and this red-headed lady, she's apparently the Speaker of the House of Commons, don't know her name. But yeah, then the government released a statement and it's for once it's actually sort of not condemning, but I did write it down. Did make a note of it. What is?
There's no point asking them to cease any weapons or parts deals. I mean, they're still going to go on.
Well, all they say is they make a. Well, Hamish Falconer apparently is the minister for the Middle East, and he points out that 52,000 civilians or 52,000 of Gaza is dead. For 2 months, Israel's blocked aid, and he sort of words a statement where he says the government no less, has strongly opposed the expansion of the Israel operation, and any attempts to annex land and Palestinian territory must not be reduced or subject to demographic change. And it's quite an interesting statement for once,
How have they?
It's always just a sort of. It's always like nobody talks about Israel, do they? In the media, it's like that thing you don't talk about. For once, they're talking about it. Do you know what I mean?
So have they strongly opposed it though? Like you said, they've not.
Well, in words, in the because the pen is the mightier than the sword, of course, and so naturally this will instantly bring the end of the Zionist state of Israel, won't it?
Well, that's
not exactly. There's my irony laid on thick there. Yeah,
the ironing is tremendous. Yes. No. This is all kind of like it's the right things to be said, but I mean, it just strikes me as kind of pointless. Sorry to be pessimistic.
Makes you wonder though, because Trump apparently is fed up with Netanyahu.
What was that? Sorry, what was that about? I didn't see. I heard that he was annoyed with him, but I didn't see.
Yeah. Well, I've heard different. Okay, Jimmy Dore. I've been listening to Jimmy Dore, and I've got a little newspaper article here. That's so annoying. Why does that keep coming up? Just remove. Right, hang on. Here we go. Bum 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 bum.
People have been telling Trump that Netanyahu is manipulating.
Oh, did you do a little? Yeah, right. Hang on. So yeah, here I've got a little thing here now. Can you see that? No, we can't. I did it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's literally the site I'm on. Yeah.
It's the very one you've got. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't trust anything that was CNN or NBC. I thought, bollocks, not listen to that. There's lots of rumors coming in that Trump's had enough, and he's had enough. He doesn't want to be led into war because that's what he realizes is going to happen. I hope Trump is just going to be the anti-war guy, and if he is that and whatever else, I think we'll run to a winner. I think we're grateful we've got 4 more years of life on Earth. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it increases the chances. I mean, yeah, he's been a little bit hit and miss with certain things, but I mean, in terms of war-related stuff, but yeah, he does seem to be a better person to have in place in this context than a Democrat, for example.
That said, or George Bush Senior, or any Ziocon.
I mean, to be fair, it's not really. I didn't even mean that to sound like a Democrat Republican.
Yeah,
it's like anyone.
Yeah, Ziocons or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, idiot of the week, Benjamin Netanyahu, for just pulling the leash just that little bit too tight until Trump's just feels the lead on him. And a man like that, I mean, he doesn't need to be like someone's poodle, right? So I guess this will be interesting. What happens next?
Yeah, it's not
if Trump disappears into hospital for some reason very suddenly, and he's touch and go, and then he's probably, it wouldn't surprise me at all because these people rule the world. So,
That's the first time. I mean, like if you think about it, I mean, I don't know if that is a direct quote from what Trump said that they put there at the top, fed up. But I mean, when was the last time you heard an American leader, be it a president or whoever, saying that about like?
Yeah, it's quite It's quite It's interesting, isn't it? You don't even say that about your world enemies like Putin. He wouldn't say he's fed up with Putin, right? Yeah. So it's quite ironic. His allies. I mean, if we could see how he dealt with Zelensky, a few months ago. Did you see that? It was fantastic stuff. Absolutely, I'm loving that. Beside myself with that. Yeah, that's good stuff. So we did the week. Yeah,
bags on tables.
Kind of what?
I said, like speaking of, you mentioned Zelensky, and I was just saying, speaking of, little bags of things on tables. He's rumored to be part of that sort of thing, isn't he?
White lines fade away. White lines. Is that Grandmaster Flash? That was a great song, man. Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
You don't remember Grandmaster Flash? Oh, well, I'm not saying. Well, I don't. But
I don't remember.
White Lines, man. White Lines. White Lines. Absolute classic.
Probably if I heard it.
Okay. So I insist you go and listen to it now. White Lines, Grandmaster Flash. Absolutely classic, brilliant track. Listen, so are you gonna head off?
Yeah, I've got to go in a couple of minutes.
So gonna go in a couple of minutes. I think then.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, potentially, but at the same time, I just wanted to play a tune, another one of Sandwich Pan's songs. So maybe I'll play a quick Sandwich Pan song, 2-minute song, and then we'll just say good night and goodbye, children everywhere. What do you think of that plan?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay.
To the fella, he said, why don't you take out your windows? I said, because I live in the cellar.
Pretty extraordinary stuff there.
I like that. It reminds me of Madness. It's kind of a bit more psychotic. Yeah. Not a bad track, that actually. Yeah, I'm going to see him soon. He's got some belting tracks. Yeah. All right then. Future Shock.
Yes, True Spoon.
You'll work tomorrow, bro.
I am indeed. Yeah.
All right, better get your beauty sleep then, mate.
I've got like what are we? The 11th of May, soon to be the 12th of May. So I've got like 10, 20. I've got like 18 days of this friggin' no drinking.
Oh, you've done so well. You've done very well. No.
18 days left to go, man.
Listen, I'll be there when you break the fast, and I'll pick you up when you stumble into the gutter. Okay, all right, bro?
Yeah, people are worrying about my ability to deal with that. It's just like, look, I'm a hardy northern gentleman. I'll be fine. Don't worry.
You've done well for these odd shows. You've not had a drink the whole time, and it's been actually commendable, highly commendable, despite the hot weather. Is when you most want a nice cold drink, right?
Harder. What's actually been okay? So number one, the weather getting warmer recently. Yeah, that has made it difficult alcohol-wise. But apart from that, the drink stuff hasn't really been as tempting as the food. Recently, like when you've been doing a diet that's been quite strict for so long, it's okay for a bit, but then especially as you start to get near the finish line, you sort of like the cravings get worse, and it's kind of psychological, I think. So that's been a bit tricky the last week or so, but I have resisted. So because I know this it's so close now, I'd be so annoyed at myself if I broke it.
I mean, without being a bit, femmy about it, do you weigh yourself? And
not really. It wasn't about weighing. It was more just about like, I know I needed to lose some body fat and kind of like just bump a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was more what the mirror was saying than
okay. Yeah.
Mirror and clothes, those ones. I have I have literally lost about 10 kilograms. I did weigh myself a couple of times. I've lost about 10 kilograms in about since March the 5th. So however long that is, like 2 months.
Pretty good, man. We should have the Future Shock diet program.
That's it, man. That's what I was thinking. Instagram, like fucking whole media thing. Yeah.
With your waistband, holding out proudly your waistband like the 80s women did.
I genuinely thought about doing it, but do you know what I thought the problem was? I've not got that much of a change. Yeah, I've been able to Like, I haven't got a massive before after.
Don't
photo.
put yourself down, bro. You did 10.
I've got a decent change for me. I'm happy with the change, but in terms of convincing other people, it's not like I've gone from like 200 kilograms to 80 kilograms.
Oh yeah, well, them shrunken, suddenly shrunken fellows with the sort of bags of sort of skin under his armpits and stuff.
It's the worst thing, isn't it? They put in all they go through all that to lose the weight, and then
they end up with saddlebags.
And they just sake, man.
And they always look happier when they're fat as well.
That's all they're getting their fix. They're getting their fix. That's what it is. But listen, man, I've got to head off. Man. So
all right, man. Nice show. Nice late night show. I've enjoyed this. It's been fun, actually. Yeah, cool.
I'll be along next time. I think we're back to normal time next week.
Let's do it, man. Let's God willing, we'll be back at 6 and subscribe and comment and.
I think it'll have to be 6:30 for me. Actually, I think it'll be.
Cool. Okay, well, thanks a lot. Yeah, 6:30 then.
So 6:30, yeah, cool, man. Let's do that. I actually have some stuff to talk about, like you did today. You were more organized than me today, but anyway, it's been fun. So,
okay, cool, awesome. And I like the music, man. I think I've always wanted, I do like the tunes. I like the drum bass stuff. I like to put John's sandwich pan stuff out there. So,
no, but I appreciate it. Nice funny about the ladder, perfect as well today with the ladder. So, got that.
Yay! There you go, man. Guided by, unseen fingers,
unseen forces. Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, yeah, cheers to everyone who's tuned in, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Who has tuned in?
Don't worry, they'll catch up. We'll have millions in 5 years' time. This will be the hot ticket. Don't worry, just bide your time, okay? We're planting seeds,
Listen, Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world, and he only had 40 subscribers after his first year.
Gosh, well, there you go. I've always sort of said as much. Yeah,
now he's worth about $1 billion.
It's like, there you go. I wouldn't want to be like him though. He did some weird. He's got a weird bloke, hasn't he? Something's
well,
weird.
Yeah, he is. There's some.
Let's say no more. Is he still going though, or is he in disgrace? Or
no, he's still going.
He shook off that, did he? That was a bit weird.
Yeah, because it wasn't quite him, was it? It was one of his team, which obviously just still a responsibility.
Exactly.
We can get away with it because it wasn't him as such.
Fixed and fake and weird. And anyway, I don't know. I think stuff like that sort of speaks more to people's interests, and that they're very easily sort of just excited by whooping and excitable ginger-haired people throwing money at people. And it's a bit lamentable, really, that's where most of our people are at intellectually. Is just.
I mean, it's just a sort of mild upgrade on things like, The
Price is Right.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. So
Strike It Lucky with Michael Barrymore. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, on that downer, because we got Sorry, go on, Future Shock.
No, I
don't want to end the show saying Michael Barrymore. That's the worst possible way to end anything with the words Michael Barrymore.
Going for gold was much better.
Going for gold's better, so we'll go for gold. Until next week, keep tumbling.
We're going for gold,
and we've gone for gold, and we've got the gold. And good night, everybody. All right, cheerio. Bye.
See you next time in a bit.